All right, everybody. We are live. And I am here with the incomparable Jenifer Covington, Coach
Thank you.
Covington, who I feel has lived a multitude of lives in one lifetime. So whether she is, with corporate accounts, Fortune 500 companies, or working with individual business owners to help them shine brighter, to help make the impact that they want in the world, to really help them own their power and stand in their value. Because
Mhm,
it's more than just profit. I mean, yes, we want to be profitable, but we also want purpose.
mhm.
And Coach Covington is just that. And for those of you who are under the sound of my voice, if you have not purchased your ticket yet to the retreat next weekend, I'm going to tell you, come on. Come on, come on,
Exactly.
come on, come on and get this goodness. The retreat is for um, female identified empathic business owners who have mission based businesses that really want to create social change and revolution. And anytime you embrace your gift, of course, that's revolutionary. And so,
Mhm.
right here from Coach Covington, I wanted to have a one welcome. I'm so happy
Thank
to have you.
you.
So
Thank you
excited
so
to have
much.
you. Yes. And so
I'm
there
so excited about the retreat, that you're helping empathic and, you know, creating revolutionary change and social change, just that you've created a pocket and a safe space for that. That's so unique yet so needed. And even hearing you say it, it strikes me every time, but hearing you say it even now, it's just like I feel like I've always been about that. I'm sure your work has been about that in a way, but it kind of was like a cool thing, but optional. Like, ooh, if you care about the world, come on over here. And hearing you say it now, it's like, man, that it's not optional. It is so time and past due, and things that were considered soft skills and soft characteristics are now really what exemplifies leaders of today. Like that's who we need. So I'm just so grateful that you've created a space to cultivate leaders in that area. So
Mm. Well, thank you so much. And speaking of cultivation, I know that that's really the crux of your work is that you're cultivating people. And I know for many people,
yeah.
marketing can feel so icky, ew, I can't do it, or I don't want to do it, or there's some judgments that we have, around it. And especially for those of us who are, heart centered people, we would prefer not to charge, for
Mm-hmm.
our work, right? The wounded healer. We would prefer not
Yeah.
to, but we do know we live in a 3D reality, and it can be intimidating, especially for a more introverted personality to put yourself out there.
Right.
So if you can kind of take us into what is soulful marketing and how
Yeah.
can people really align with their genius and then communicate it
Hmm.
out into the world.
Totally. I mean, in the question, you kind of gave the answer. It's like if you listen closely, you already know. I mean, even because you could take, like you said, marketing, and we've learned it, or we've seen it, or we've been on the receiving end of it, where it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel authentic. And that's what we don't like about it, not just marketing in itself. Marketing is really, sometimes I'll refer to it as outreach. It's just, outreach and connection. And it is part of our job description, no matter what else we do. Part of our job description is to get the word out about what we do and how we help and who we help, so that we're not laboring people with having to dig and find us and potentially stumble upon the not right person for them, only to further get wounded when really we were their right, mentor, guide, teacher. So it's part of our job description to get in front of our peeps and be like, hey, again, your retreat is a perfect example. You're getting it out there that, hey, there is a safe space, powerful space. You're going to be working, you're going to be challenged for sure, but come here if you are at the intersection of empathic and powerful and care about the
Mhm.
world and revolutionary and genius. How do you Google that? So you're making sure that we know about it. That's part of putting on a retreat, right? I got to let people know where the space is being held. So that's one thing about marketing. And then the other thing is, and you said soulful marketing, well, that's part of the answer is go inward first, right? Tap into your soul and see what's true for you, what feels real for you, and that is how you do it in a non icky, sleazy, slimy, inauthentic way. Um, and I know that folks like us, the empaths and heart-centered entrepreneurs too, is that's how we roll. Like that it's harder for us to put on an air or to put on a mask. And I think that's what feels kind of, because you feel like I have to look this way, I have to act this way, and that feels like a put on and that feels like effort. When really, and the more we give each other permission to do this, we can do it. But really it's like all we want is you, how you come, as you are, and what your truth is, right? And there are those practical pieces of you also have to tie into like why do we care. So there is that again, like what do you do, who do you help, and how. But the come from is really first soul led, and so it's just really the permission to be able to do that and then do it all the time. Right. um I feel like there's another piece to your question, but I can't even remember. You said soulful marketing, and there was
Yeah,
something else you said because that was the answer. I was like, that's it.
yeah, but I think well, you did answer it, and of course, for those of you who are tuning in, please tag a friend, tag someone into this live because we're not just simply here. I mean, of course, I love hanging out with Jennifer, but we're here to have a
Same.
conversation, right? We're here to have um, a dialogue. So the only way for us to do that is for you to join us. So. Um, Getting into it just a little bit more, Jennifer, especially for someone who is highly sensitive, right? So yeah, means you're
Yeah.
getting downloads and energy from everywhere all the time. How someone maneuver through, what they're feeling and sensing, especially, as a business owner to that core message. We hear that all the time in the marketplace. Well, you need to identify what your core message is when so many
Yeah.
empaths because they are multisensory, they have multiple passions. So how
Hmm.
does someone even begin to get a core message who has multiple passions?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like again, it's gonna come back to soul, and I feel like for us, again, the soul led, mission led, heart centered entrepreneur, um, that it's like those practical pieces come after you've checked in and tapped in. And that is again why we are the leaders of today, because all of that kind of, I don't know, bottom line and just the old way is what got us here. And so the new leaders are tapped into intuition and to their knowingness and higher power and that kind of thing. And that's what's going to get us out of this. And so that comes first. And so if you're tapped in, and like you said, you have probably your morning practice or you have practices around how you
Mhm,
do receive those messages, you honor them, you understand that that's important. So
mhm,
your core message could be different daily depending on what comes up for you. And usually, the marketing would say that's not okay. Like, what's your core message? So
mhm,
one thing is permission to allow for what comes through to come through and that be the message of the day. But then once there is that, then there can again, then you can apply the practical piece where it's like, well, what do people need to hear, or why do they care, when we're talking about business.
mhm,
And so
mhm,
is there a way to tie in what came through that day to an outcome or like to what you're trying to, the next steps with you? I think sometimes it could be leading into a promotion or leading into a sale, but sometimes it's just about kind of the culture of your business or the message or the beingness of your business. And it's just how do we get to know again that you're the mentor for me, that you're the teacher for me, that you're creating a community that's for me. So whatever came through that day, that might be the message. And if I, Susie, audience member, am scrolling and it impacts me, then maybe I start following you for inspiration. Maybe I start following you because you could be a potential mentor. It's bigger than just go to my webinar. But then there's also like sometimes you have to send people to your webinar. So I think if you start with that end, though, the core message could be getting us, creative, heart centered folks tripped up because it might look different every day. But if you allow that to happen over, let's say, 3 months, you will be able to see that there are themes you are about some certain things. And then you can start kind of getting more clear on, like, this actually is my message and it's pretty consistent.
Mhm, mhm. I
Yeah.
love that so much. And how do you support, because again, you've got the multi-sensors and like you said, it's kind of if I'm hearing you correctly, it's almost like it's you're looking for threads.
Yeah, exactly. Like threads, themes.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
threads and themes. Yeah. And I know also too many empaths, particularly those who are going into the social entrepreneurship route that are really seeking to, heal generationally, um, are also perceived and seen as thought leaders. So, and I know we're
Hmm.
hearing that word, and I try not to use the buzzword,
Yeah.
but just for the sake of argument, thought leaders have like this monumentous calling, right, that they've
Hmm.
answered. How do you even dissect that? Like, what would you say to someone that knows that they have this big calling, this big soul urge to deliver just a really powerful, world changing message? How would you
Yeah.
help them to break it down into like the least common denominator? Like, because sometimes we can use those really like jargony, and it's like, okay, that just went over. Whoo!
Yeah. Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and unless you've been, I don't know, meditating in the Himalayas for like 20 years, like no one understands.
No one knows what that means. I know. I know. It's so much that you're saying. I love it. I appreciate the buzzwords because what I hear you doing, I don't even know if you're doing this, but it's like the buzzword, but then you kind of unpack it and make it relevant to, your audience. So even that, again, it's like you hear this word, you're intimidated by this word, or you don't resonate with this word, but here's how you can apply it or make it work for you or flip it on its head. But
Mhm,
I love the idea of thought leadership because it's, again, it's thought leadership comes from, not from scrolling and regurgitating. It comes from your thoughts. And then you lead with that, right? It's like your thought leadership. And again, your thought, us empaths and soulful entrepreneurs, that's not, we've learned how to not live from the neck up, right? It's also how do you
mhm,
tap in first. And so it's trusting that whatever comes up for you, that is your thought leadership, right? And it's like, if you resonate, awesome, come along for the ride. This is what I'm going to be, filling your feed or filling your inbox with and filling your heart and soul with. And it will repel those who aren't on board. And so it's the permission of with being okay. But again, I just love that you brought that word up because that's where it's kind of like something came through this morning. It feels like it's against the grain, so I don't know if I'm going to post it or I don't know if I should post it. But if you think in terms of thought leadership, it's like, well, of course I would post it because it's not what everyone else is saying and doing, but this is what came through for me and feels resonant to me. That's the leadership part, is kind of going out on a limb and paving your own path. So I think that's how it works, for us. And then oh, I feel like I just lost it. What else did you say? I get
um,
so charged up.
no, no, listen, you are just flowing. You are answering everything, and just how you talk about it in such a way.
Oh, the calling. That was
Yeah,
what
the
it was.
calling. Mhm.
Yeah. I can go.
Yes.
'Cause that's so another thing. And I just think the calling is there because I can speak for myself, but I feel like we all have this in common to a degree of the being an empath, and you receive, energy is such a thing for us that I feel like on some level we would be like, I would be good in my own little corner or like in my own little circle or like, so to even venture out online, it's because we feel called and compelled for more, to do more, to have a bigger impact, all of that. So that's already like, it is your call. You are called to do this because otherwise it's like, I would rather not, or, like I could be good
Mhm,
on all of this. Right. So it is about identifying, what is your vision and what is that calling? And it can reveal itself over time, but like the MLK quote is, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. So what is the nudge? What is the, inspired action? What landed for you today? What did you call in today? Move with that. and then keep putting one foot in front of the other, right? And the path will be revealed. But knowing if someone's in your community and they're listening to this and they're interested in the retreat and they're following your work, there's already a calling. And so if you're at the stage where you're not sure, then it's about identifying what that means for you, and also just what does that look like in action just tomorrow or just today, not the whole thing, just what do you truly feel called to do. And I think we make it so big where it's like, but what's the big impact and and it's like, purpose work isn't always like, I need to build schools in a different country. It could be to
Mm,
improve other people's lives or to make someone's life easier or to bring joy, right? And so then the missions that we carry out, we can carry that purpose out in various ways. It could be by holding the door open for someone. It could be from having a business that gives back. You could carry out your purpose in so many different ways. And I call those your missions. Like, what is and the missions can shift. So when you feel like, oh, I thought my calling was this, but now I'm actually feeling called to do this, that's fine because it's probably still in line with your purpose because it's you. You were born with your purpose. So just trust that whatever you feel called to today, but move on it. Don't sit on it. That's what gets us tripped up, is the hiding, is the shrinking, and is the not letting it be known.
mhm.
Um, it's not created in a vacuum. So that's the important piece to keep in mind.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So we're inviting you to join us next weekend. It's a 3 day, highly immersive, highly chill, retreat where on you'll be receiving Reiki and sound station, and Jennifer will be joining us on two with Marion, who you'll hear from next week. And really, the idea is to give you all of the tools that you need so that you feel one, refreshed, rejuvenated, so that you can reach the higher thoughts, first
So
place.
true.
But then also to be in a community.
So true.
Yeah, right. And then being in community with like-hearted um, individuals that can also support you on the path. So you will walk away with a 90-day plan, um, so that you know where you're going to finish this quarter out with. And so the wisdom that's coming through will help you think, reflect, and then integrate. And so, Jennifer, before we go, what are some of the things that a participant can expect to experience on next weekend?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking of even what you were saying, when I talk about, the receiving and trusting and how you're like, first you'll just rest, and I think like investing time, money, energy into cultivating that for yourself is so important. And so the rest and the permission to just do that. And then also, how I've been talking about trust, and take action. And part of that, what makes that doable is not doing that by yourself. And so I also just wanted to underscore the importance of community, which again is what you're cultivating. And so being able to go to a place, because you're like, well, who's like me or who gets me? And I feel like we are unique empaths. It's like, who gets us? Only other empaths. So, getting into a space where you have a leader who's like, I am going to hold this container for you, Philly folks, and we are all have that in common. And you're going to get tools and a plan that's so powerful. And that's what, whether you're able to attend or not, to cultivate that kind of community is going to be what helps you trust yourself and to take action. And so I just wanted to underscore that. And so that's what you can expect, and I think we have this in common where we get the feely part and the spiritual part and the self trust and self love part. And then there's also a practical piece. Like you said, we're in the 3D. And so that's definitely what I'll be bringing, is really practical ways to authentically market yourself and how to do it in a way that you are able to rest and not feel like you have to be everywhere at once, so that you can be authentic and show up consistently and feel good about it. And then create a plan for yourself moving forward where you can, joyfully do your outreach and reach your people, and just make it really seamless and beautiful. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to it too. So if you have not participated, we're keeping the container really, really small so that there's intimacy that can be fostered. So, we're only holding, spaces for, um, we have 14 spaces left. So, like, that's like teeny, like we were purposely like keeping it small, right? But the goal is that you foster a relationship and hopefully maybe make a new
Hmm.
biz bestie, from this that it will last, beyond the retreat itself, and that you formulate and cultivate. Because I just love when um, women can come together and network together. It is just
Hmm.
so powerful because it's not just transactional; it's
Hmm.
transformational.
Yes. Thank you for
So.
creating this space. So
mm,
thrilled.
And thank you for saying yes. So please get your ticket, secure your space, and a portion of the proceeds. Later today, we'll be having a conversation with Tara Moreno, who is the
Mhm.
founder and executive director of Flint House, Serenity House of Flint, Michigan, which is a recovery project. So substance
Mm,
abuse, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's
so
doing
powerful.
really deep and it is super powerful. So you all don't want to miss that. But Jenifer, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you for having me. We'll see you all at the retreat.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
We'll see you. Yep, we'll see
Yay.
you out the retreat. Big love. All right.